Something that hit me that's a lot more clear. It's more clear and it's more believable than before. It's how God will balance the scales. He'll balance things. He'll provide justice for all of us that were treated like shit, treated badly, most of our lives abused. He's balancing the scales. He is. He's brought me to a point where I thought I would never even be at in my life as far as balancing the scales. I can actually see some light at the end of this road, some hope, kind of. I don't want to get my hopes up too high. That's why I told the Christian, like, I don't want to get full hope, full faith in God completely, and then be let down like the next day. Get what I mean? I don't want that to. I'd rather have no hope than to have full hope in God, full faith in God, than be completely let down the next day. You get what I mean? That's what I'm always afraid of. You know, they're like, you have to have full faith in Jesus, full faith for you to get completely healed. I'm like, I'm afraid if I make full faith in Jesus, like legit full faith, I'm gonna be made a fool. I will be made a fool. No joke. That's what I'm afraid of. God knows. I'd rather have no faith, no hope in Jesus, and just crash and burn. You know what I mean? Than have full faith, full hope in Jesus, 100%, and then be let down by Jesus after that point. You know what I mean? Because I admit, I've never had full faith, full hope in Jesus, 100% in my life. And a Christian was saying that's part of the reason I cannot be healed, is because I don't have full faith, full 100% hope in Jesus, 100%. It's true. I'm afraid of if I do, and then I get let down. I'm like, I'd rather not even do it. I'm like, I don't even want to make you look bad, Jesus. I'll just fail on purpose. You know, you know how this goes, how the story's supposed to go. That's true. Jesus is changing the way my story was supposed to end. You know what I mean? Instead of crashing and burning and dying, you know, God is not letting that happen. He's like, instead of that, he's like, you're going to keep going. You're going to live a great life. It's throwing me off because it's my programming. This isn't supposed to happen. I'm supposed to crash and burn. The psychopaths win. The enemy beats me. God didn't do shit to help me. That was the story. God's changing that. Yeah. He doesn't want me to have an honorable death. At least not right now. Like Yahweh. Like Jesus had an honorable death, in my opinion. He did a great act, and he had an honorable death. That's what I want as well. But God's like, it's not your time to have that honorable death. So I'm like, all right, what do I got to do in between that time? I think he's showing me what he wants me to do, day by day. But anyways, this is what the video is about. God's really balancing the scales. He is. I didn't think so. I didn't think that this was real. I didn't think that this was legit. It's too good to be true. It's too good to be true that God is balancing the scales. Everyone that was abused most of their lives, he's rewarding them, and he's like rewarding me and blessing us, in the aftermath of it all. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is too good to be true. The enemy made me think they couldn't be beaten. They made me think they were unbeatable. The enemy, family, friends, they made me think they were going to be oppressing me forever. They did. And what helped is that God didn't do anything to stop them from oppressing me. Nothing. He didn't stop them. So I'm like, man, God's on their side. That's another thing I struggle with. I still think God's on their side, my family side, psychopath side. I still think he's on their side. Because that's the way I thought most of my life. That he's on their side. Eventually he'll stop helping me and he'll be on their side. Eventually. That's what I always think, you know what I mean? He ain't gonna keep supporting me as I go. No way. Separate from all of that, you know. It's too good to be true. That God is gonna support me my whole life. That's too good to be true for me. Way too good to be true. Yeah. Way too good. Yeah. I swear. If God pulls off the impossible and I have a beautiful wife and a kid, Timmy, he knows I'll love him forever. God knows I will love him forever. I would. He knows it. A beautiful wife that loves me, and then a kid, Timmy, on the way. I will love God forever. Even in the eternities. He knows it too. You know what I mean? He knows it. Because he knows I was his best friend. I was his best bud before I was born. I was God's best bud. I'm claiming it. I don't care if you claim it. I'm claiming it. I was his best bud. You know? Yes, I was. And he's proven to his best bud he can fight harder than me. He can fight harder than me. You know what I mean? The perception of God in the cult, I thought he was just some too high and mighty, you know, with his polygamous wives, you know, too high and mighty to help me. He's proven me wrong. He's proven me wrong. Putting more effort than I have, that's insane to me. I'm like, God's trying? I can see that God's trying. Like God's getting in the mud instead of all this, you know, his peon servants doing it for him. No way. No way. God's fighting harder than all of us? No way. I've seen it for myself. I've seen it for myself. I've seen God fight harder than anybody. You know what I mean? For me, I've seen it. I'm like, what's happening? But the cult God wouldn't do this. The cult God wouldn't do this. You know what I mean? He's too good for me. Yeah. So anyways, enough about that. But enough about that. Despite all the bullshit I went through in the cult, all the brainwashing, all the abuse, all that, you know, I thought I was just going to die, crash and burn. An unwinnable scenario I grew up in, unwinnable. So I was just like, I'll just die. Unwinnable. Even I thought God was on their side. So I'm like, it's unwinnable. I can't go against all that. Just die. Give up, you know. Even now, I still kind of live like I don't feel, I'm not fully living for real yet. I'm getting there, but my God might be balancing the scales. He might be for real. That's what I think he's doing. He's balancing the scales. He is. For a lot of us, I feel like he's balancing the scales. You know, providing true justice in the end. He's going to provide real justice in the end. He'll balance the scales. He will. Seems like that's what he's doing. I might make a video about God's justice, about the things that people got away with, and the victims of those things that they got away with. Him balancing the scales that that's what I'll say, that the human justice system didn't catch, or you know what I mean? Like the kids like in my case, the kids that were too scared to talk against the abusers, against, you know what I mean, that were too scared, God still saw it, you know what I mean? And so he's balancing the scales, even though the kid did not talk like me. I didn't talk for most of my life. So I admit they're scary. For a kid, psychopaths are scary. They are. Super scary for a kid. Even now, I'm still trying to overcome some stuff about being around those scary individuals. Even still. I'm like, maybe Jesus knows how to heal all this stuff from that scary upbringing, you know. But anyways, but that's what shocked me, that God saw that. He understood everything I went through. He saw it all. It's impressive. He saw it all so well that it was almost like he was abused in my body. That's what I'll say. It was almost like he was me. You know what I mean? he was me. That's how well he understood it all. It seems like. But anyways, I don't want to say something that's too good to be true, but it seems like God's trying to balance the scales for real. All of our enemies, former enemies that were against us, will be at our feet. God's trying to make that happen. He is. He's flipping it. He's flipping the tables. He is. He really is. I can feel it. Like at this position, he's flipping it to where we're the survivors of it all are above the abusers and the psychopaths. He's bringing us above it all. No joke. That's why it says like he'll bring our enemies at our feet, or something like that. But I feel like he's really doing that. You know what I mean? Part of me's like this is too good to be true. I was so convinced that God was on their side. I was so convinced that he was supporting them. You know what I mean? I was so convinced. Maybe a part of me wanted to be, that's false. I wanted to be convinced that God was like them, that he was a bad guy like them, so I could be the better man. In the end, standing strong, noble, God went corrupt. God went corrupt with them. Yes, indeed. Die the better man. Oh, yeah. But my worst nightmares have me. God's proving I was not the better man. He saw everything. He did. God saw everything. I wasn't the better man. God was not on vacation like I thought. He was not somewhere else. Partying. God was not partying. Having a good time while I was getting abused. He wasn't. He was getting abused with me. He was. That's how intimate it's been. It's like me and Jesus got abused together. You know what I mean? Like we're real close brothers. We've been through hell together. Even to this point. God's involving more of my brothers like you and my sisters out there that have survived as well. But it does seem like it. And he might have been balancing the scales with you guys as well in your lives. He's balancing. For all the hell you went through, he's balancing it. He's providing justice, balancing the scales, even though the human system failed you. The human system failed you. You know what I mean? As far as justice, it failed you completely. I know it did with me. It failed me. But since the human justice system failed you, God's still trying to make things right. He is. He's trying to balance the scales. He is. And that's what I've noticed. He really is trying to balance the scales where we live a great lives. We survived. We live a great life. We're thriving. We're happy. You know what I mean? God's really trying to balance the scales. Like he really is. I'm serious. I'm like, is this too good to be true? I didn't believe it for a long time. I'm like, this isn't real. This isn't happening. I can convince God to strike me down. I can convince him by now. Make it simple. But it does seem like it, Because when God started his mercy on me, showed mercy on me, I admit I wasn't living the best life. God showed me mercy. He did. Since then, he's been trying to make up for everything I endured in life. He's been trying to make up for it. He has. For real. I acknowledge it. It's real effort. We're real trying to balancing the scales. He is. And the part of the thing that's getting in the way is my own stubbornness. I'm still mad at God. That I won't allow him to bless me and make, for real. I won't, I'm like holding it against him, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not going to be happy because I'm mad at you. I'm not going to live for real because I'm mad at you. That's I got to get over that, man. Accept the blessing, So, like I said, I'll change my tune with a beautiful wife and a kid Timmy on the way. I'll change my tune. I know I will. About God, I will. Up to this point, like I can tell if I'm getting blessed for real because I've been through that much hell on earth. You know what I mean? God knows I can tell real blessings, real in my face, not counterfeit. I've been through that much hell of being around fake, counterfeit, that I can tell the real blessings in my face, better. But anyways, instead of God's blessings feeling like he's love bombing me, like some narcissist, oh, God's just love bombing. And I can tell the difference a little bit better, You know what I mean? God showed me that real love isn't love bombing. It's not love bombing at all. Nope. Totally different. Totally different. Real love versus love bombing. Totally different. So, but I didn't know that for a long time. I didn't know that. All I experienced was love bombing for a lot of my life. My parents love bombed me. You know what I mean? Fake love. Showering me with gifts. Like, here's a Super Nintendo. Oh, they love me. They gave me a Super Nintendo. That ain't love. But back then, as a kid, I thought it was. Like, this Super Nintendo is badass. They love me. Not so. But anyways, that's just kind of what I've noticed. God's really trying to balance the scales. He's raising us up. He is. The survivors of hell on earth, on this earth. He's raising us up. He is. I'm not just talking. He's balancing the scales in our favor right now. He is. It's like too good to be true. But I'm like, he's really doing it. It seems like he's really balancing the scales for all of us that survived the hell on earth we did. Survive, Seems like. So. And if I'm at a happier point in life when I'm married with a kid, Timmy, I'm really gonna say God's balanced the scales. I really will. And God knows it. I really will say that. Really say that. God knows that's like the biggest factor because no one's really loved me for real. Not really. And God knows it. Not really. They always choose somebody else. No one's loved me for. I'm very hard to love. I'm the battle axe. I'm rough around the edge. I'm hard to love. Even for myself to love me, I'm very hard to love. I'm someone only God can love. I came to that conclusion a long time ago. Only God can love me, really. So that's how crazy he designed me. Like only God could love someone like me. But anyway, I don't know. But yeah, it does seem like God's trying to balance the scales for all those that were abused. And in the dark, that's what I'll say. Abused in the dark. When they thought no one was watching. That's what I'll say. Those of us that were abused in secret, when we thought no one was watching, he's balancing the scales for us now. He is. He's bringing us into the light. Literally the light. He's bringing us into the light. Look at the light on me. I swear I get brighter every day, I get brighter every day. Somehow he's making me brighter every day. I don't know how he's doing it. That's part of balancing the scales. He's making us bright, you know what I mean? Brighter. Because we grew up in darkness. Very dark. Very darkness. A lot of dark. No joke. The pit of despair is what I call it. Growing up around that the people I grew up around, was growing up in a pit that I couldn't get out of. It felt like I was in a pit that I couldn't get out. No joke. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm like, this is too good to be true right now. I'm out of the pit, Mentally, I'm getting there to get out of the pit. But anyways, that's all I'll say. Is like it really does seem like God's trying to balance the scales For real. For us, the survivors. He's trying to balance the scales in our favor. Like, no joke. I don't want to curse ourselves, but it seems like that's what he's doing. He is. He's trying to balance the scales for us that survived all that hell on this earth, that no one thought happened. You know what I mean? That got swept under the rug, you know? The stuff that everyone swept under the rug, that they thought no one saw, God saw it. And he's given us justice. He's balancing the scales. That's what I noticed. It seems like he's really trying to do that. For real. Not just joke, not just talk, you know? Anyways. And I'll lead the way to freedom on the other side of the scales. On the balance scales, I'll lead the way on the ascension of freedom. Yes, I will. I'll find this freedom that God's talking about. I'll find the freedom that God knows about. I'll find that freedom somewhere. Somewhere else from this earth. Yeah? Because this earth does not teach freedom. It teaches oppression and slavery and control. That's what this world teaches. You know what I mean? Oh, if we're controlled, that means we're safe. Not so. That's another lesson I've learned. Just because you're in a controlled environment and everyone's controlled doesn't mean it's safer. You know what I mean? Conformity and sameness is not a good thing in the end. God knows it. He designed us all differently, individual, on purpose. We're not supposed to be the same individual in a cult, basically. A cult tries to make every individual the same person. They do. They want you to dress the same. They want you to eat the same food. They want you, you know what I mean? They want you to be the same. God didn't design us that way. He designed us to be different from each other. You know what I mean? So, he's like, quit trying to be like everybody else. Talking to me. Quit trying to be like everybody else so you don't feel so exiled. I made you different on purpose. Be who you are, goddamn. I made you different on purpose. I'm like, all right, but I don't like how you made me different. I don't like how you made me different, God. I'm a wild card down here. I don't fit in anywhere, obviously. Only some people like Dragon Ball Z. Not everybody likes Dragon Ball Z. I'm way outside the loop, you know? I still think that anime was inspired. I did. Had to be. An entire religion makes no sense. My family made no sense. That anime makes sense to me. No accident. What they teach in the anime about warriors leveling up, you know, honor, nobility, that makes sense to me. Nothing in the cult made sense to me. But an anime did over that. That's what I'm like, what? Dragon Ball Z. Representing still. Still representing. Some of you are part of my Dragon Ball Z team. You're the warriors on the Dragon Ball Z team. And you're the X-Men team as well. We're both. We're both the team, you know, both of us. That's what I was saying today. It'd be a lot easier if, like, we were. Sometimes it would feel a lot easier to do this, walk this road, if some of us were like walking physically together on this road. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not just me doing it alone most of the time. You know what I mean? Like physically. That's what I thought about the other day. I guess I just need to get more courage, you know? I don't need a wingman next to me. Anyway. But enough about that. It does seem like God is really trying to balance the scales. He really is. He really is. It's not just bullshit. It's not just talk. It's not just words, you know, because God knows I think words are cheap. But he says his word is not cheap. The only time words are not cheap is God's word, apparently. His word is not cheap because he tells the truth. So, anyway. But it does seem like he's trying to make things right. He is. He's trying to balance the scales. Seems like. And we just got to allow it, basically. We just have to accept it and allow it. That's it. We just have to accept it and allow it. Allow God to bless us. Just allow it. You know what I mean? Allow Him to balance the scales in our favor. Just allow it. Don't reject it. Just allow it. You know what I mean? Because it seems that's part of the thing. Feeling like we deserve it. That's part of the thing. Part of the thing I need to work on as well. I deserve to be blessed. I deserve, you know what I mean? I deserve a good life. I deserve, that's part of it. Feeling like you deserve it. A lot of my life I didn't feel like I deserved it. Yeah. So that's part of it. Feeling like you deserve it. Yeah, like I deserved it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting blessed. Yeah. Yeah. It's supposed to be this way. Basically. Don't have to make things harder than they are. Just to be tough. Just to prove you're stronger than God. You don't have to make your life harder just to prove you're better than God. Like I did. I made my life harder on purpose just to outdo Jesus. I'm like, I can survive a hard life better than you can. Anyways, enough about that. I still can't believe Jesus walked my road. I can't believe that. Yeah, I can't. I didn't think he was that great. I didn't. You know what I mean? Not that impressed. To have gone through what I've gone through, even to this point, you know. But that's how he knows how to balance the scales. God sees the full picture. He sees the full picture. Everything I went through up to now, he sees the full picture. Yeah. So it's very easy for me to compare a good life from what I used to have. No life in the darkness. I can compare the difference, you know. So, but that's what I wanted to say. Because that's what it seems like he's doing. He's flipping the table. He's flipping the coin. He's balancing the scales. He is. I can feel it. I even feel lifted up a little more on the scales than I used to. On the scales of justice, I'm a little more lifted up on the fairness of it all. A little more fair. A little more. Yeah. We're getting to where life's more fair. Finally, a little bit. But I don't want to curse myself. Anyways, that's all I'll say for this video.